with Katie Bowman.
All right, and we're back with another episode of Help Me, I'm Scared. I'm Katie Bowman, your host, and today we have a very special episode. Of course, we have my lovely producer in the house, JD Lopez.
Hello.
Boop-a-da-boop-boop-a. Okay, and this is a left-hand, right-brain production. I'm very excited to have our guest on for this podcast. This is a fun one because he is a fan of the podcast, which is so exciting and so flattering to have a fan. And he also is an amazing political artist, an art connoisseur, and just a local friend, supporter of the arts, Matthew Manna. I should have told you there'd be a bunch of people in here cheering at you.
Oh, I know.
Thanks for doing the podcast.
Thank you for having me. This is it's a capital D dream come true, I think.
Oh, that's really cute. Awesome. I'm so happy to have you. And honestly, just having someone, I just want to say, if there's any other listeners out there, Matthew literally sends me messages about how cool the pod is. And that is so good to hear. Because sometimes I'm just like, is anyone listening? You know what I mean? And so I just want to say it's really greatly appreciated.
Well, that's cool. I try to do that to podcast people. I have my, this is the whitest thing I've ever said, but my Patreon bills are through the roof, practically.
Oh, that's very nice.
That's really cute, though.
I mean, I'm going to die penniless, but,
hey,
at least I
can't take it with you.
Money?
I cannot take it with me.
So give it to me.
Yes.
Money is not real at this point.
Yeah, it's not real. Nothing matters,
true.
but yeah. So might as well. In the meantime, in the flesh space, try to help you guys out. Make sure you're doing things that you like and are having fun doing.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. Everyone could learn from this guy. Haley Driscoll and I were on the road together a month ago now. God, it's crazy how fast time is going. But we went and saw Eddie Pepitone.
Oh,
in Pueblo.
In Chicago.
Oh.
And it was so funny. He just gets on stage and he's like, the world's gonna end soon. And then he was like, all your credit card debt, it's just gonna burn out. He was just talking about, and I was like, that is so how it feels right now. I just feel like how do you guys feel about Trump right now? I feel like I don't even feel anything. It took so long to be like, this is a criminal.
You're finally numb.
That I'm like, I can't even, until he's in there for 5 years, then I'll be like, okay.
I'm literally in, just because I love spending money that I don't have. I'm in one of those online metaphysical PhD programs. And I'm taking courses on cryptozoology just because why the fuck not? And
I don't even know what that is.
Studying
description.
Studying Bigfoots and
cool.
Loch Ness monsters and things like that, and metaphysical stuff. But also,
I was thinking cryptocurrency.
No, I didn't. I got
that.
it on the bottom floor with Sasquatch, but not with.
Okay, that's
not
really
with Dogecoin.
fucking fun, though.
It's a lot of fun, and
it's
that. Super therapeutic. But even when all the UFO or whatever we call them now, UAPs thing came out, I couldn't give less of a shit. I was just like, ugh.
I know.
I guess that's the point, huh? That's what they want.
They want us to just be easily taken.
Yeah, that should have been. That would have made 10-year-old Matt just explode with joy, but now I just don't.
With joy, not fear.
No, yeah.
Oh, do you not feel joy either?
At the idea of aliens?
Yes.
No, I feel more fear than joy.
JD, but what if they're just us?
Yeah, but what if they're not? It's more likely they're not.
Or they're interdimensional things. That's kind of
That's
what everyone's been saying.
What previous guest was saying.
You know what's crazy? Did you guys watch I Survived Death? That series on Netflix?
No.
The first episode was so good. The first episode's so good, and then it gets kind of weird because they get into medians. Brad and I literally make fun of these medians all the time now though, because we got I think 6 eps in, and there's just these medians. There's this one lady that's like, oh, yo, Bobby, I'm a little boy, and I'm like, what if what if it's totally fake though?
You know what? It's totally fake. And
she's just these people paid hundreds of dollars, and she's just sitting in the room Bobby, I've been here since 95. like she's just, and then there's this other one that like just kind of guesses.
She's being possessed.
Yeah, she's channeling.
Okay.
It's kind of like talk to me, like she's channeling. But and then there's another one who's like Scottish, and they're like, "Did you have a dad? Did your dad golf? Was he a good dad?
I didn't know what you're talking about.
He liked to eat a pizza." And so Brad and I just talk to each other like this all the time because it's so ridiculous. Anyway, so Surviving Death, the first episode, this woman, she apparently, and who knows if it's true. I don't believe anything because I'm just like, it's all fake, right?
You believed everything.
I'm just kidding.
Okay. I was
so,
like, what?
like, but
That's
I mean,
the whole like Robert Anton Wilson be slightly agnostic kind of about everything.
Yes. So documentaries, and reality TV, I always am skeptical about because
they're
a lot,
not facts all the time.
Yeah, there a lot of them are like thoughts
Manipulated.
Yeah, and have we talked about the mermaid like it was like a fake History Channel was putting out these like fake kind of
crypto
zoology
things.
Are mermaids cryptids?
Yeah, I think they are.
Yeah, they're like demons that would take you to the bottom of the ocean and drown you,
9
right?
times out of 10, they were just manatees that pirates saw in the Gulf.
And they're like, it's a woman. They're like, I want to fuck that manatee.
I mean, really,
like,
they
okay,
were.
Like,
yeah, have you seen a manatee
I mean,
in the
I can
wild?
totally see it. Men are disgusting. And they're just on this boat,
pirates
like,
especially
drunk as fuck, smelly as fuck, just being like, not a pair of titties in the water.
Well, they're all fucking each other anyway, so they
like...
were like, manatees might be a step up or down. I don't know.
No, but
Sideways.
yes, there was a fake mermaid documentary, and it was very appropriative. You should look it up on YouTube while we're. But so
what's it called? Or what should I?
Mermaids, History Channel, and you'll see that you're gonna die. I remember watching it when I was in college with my friend, and there's a part where they're like, some might think that mermaids used to play with dolphins, and then you see this like very bad CGI of actual dolphins, like a video of dolphins in the waves, and then they have like little CGI mermaids like flying through the waves with them.
I'm into this. 100%.
Yes, this is it. Yeah, so this is the thing though, is that they think that some apes went into the water instead of staying on land, and yeah. Okay, we got to get to like
trying to find some CG images.
Yeah,
I think if the apes were walking voluntarily into the water, it was just to get out of here.
This one is like the first episode ever. Here, like, go to mermaids, dolphins. Here, let me see. Mermaid dolphin History Channel. Yes, this is gonna be the funny one. Oh my god, it's so
vicious Arctic mermaid attack.
Oh, is this the one where? Okay, there's also one where they think about a megalodon. Yeah,
this
is
Animal
good.
Planet.
Oh wait, no. Yeah, so wait, mermaid. Look up, or maybe it was Animal Planet. Here, just look up mermaid documentary.
Mermaid doc is what I looked up last time.
Okay, mermaid doc, and then dolphins plus dolphins. Isn't that how you search when you're looking for? What are those words called? Like trigger word? No.
Keywords?
Keywords. There we go. That's
Same
like my IT class from high school. Okay, wait. Dolphins teach humans. No.
I think if we don't put in History Channel.
Oh, there it is. Mermaids attacked by giant shark. That's it. So it's Animal Planet. Sorry, guys. It was Animal Planet. Okay, we can just leave this on. So in Surviving Death, the first episode, this woman goes kayaking and she gets like
16 million years ago.
Look at this mermaid. Okay, look at this mermaid, you guys. If you're at home, look up Animal Planet's mermaid documentary.
Land
and
must seem a cold and foreign place to them now.
Like, this isn't good to put out.
I mean, it's not bad for Animal Planet. I mean, it's like Beast Wars animation right here.
Primo.
This is Transformers like... Beast Wars. Did you ever see this?
Oh yeah, this is like Reboot or something.
Yeah,
this
look at
terrible.
This. They're making them. See, the thing is that they're making. I mean, I guess if they did exist, but they're like indigenous, so
they're like indigenous peoples, is what you're saying?
Yes, it's like they take that like look of it. Like some of them have like this.
Oh yeah.
They do look a bit Avatar-y.
Yeah.
That's totally. what it is. Oh my god, he said the worst thing.
Avatar, the guy, James Cameron saw this and was like, I have an idea.
Yeah, totally. Dude,
James Cameron's the worst.
He is the worst. He's the worst. What he said about what inspired Avatar, I was like, oh my god, that's terrible.
Yeah, Catherine Bigelow did a good job dumping that creep.
Yeah, so this like little mermaid sacrifices himself for his family, and they talk that's like, so.
Wow.
Because they have to swim across. They have to swim across this big depth, and so. But back to surviving death, like what I was telling you guys. This lady's underwater, and she is underwater for 30 minutes. And while she's underwater, she sees herself leave her body, and then she meets these. What did you say? Celestial beings.
Sure, interdimensional.
Yeah. Celestial.
It's close.
I mean,
that's like not these tea people. This tea party. She met the tea party. But they were like, it's not time for you to come back, but you need to go back down, and like your son's gonna die. And then her son did die. It's just crazy. And so anyway.
Yeah, I gotta check that out. I'd use something like that.
Yeah.
to glom onto and be
but
like,
it's
oh
interesting.
Man, things are great.
It is interesting. And so anyway, we'll move on. I'm really excited. Anyway, the world is terrible. That's what that little opener was. Sorry, guys. But I mean, it is a horror film podcast. We're going to have some bleak moments. So without further ado, we're going to introduce the movie that Matthew picked for this one. And I've been waiting for someone to pick this movie. He picked 1974, baby, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And it was directed. Okay, is it Toby or Tobe?
Toby.
Okay, it is Toby.
Yep.
I was in the
Rest in
shower. I was like literally in the shower, like, do not say Tobe on this podcast. But then I didn't look up. I didn't look up. Yeah, I know. And I didn't look up the pronunciation because we've been having JD do this little fun thing. But I was like, there's no way it's not Toby. I just have never seen Toby spelled like that. I've always seen it with a Y.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Texas thing. This whole movie can't be divorced from
Katie's
Texas.
from Texas.
Yeah, I
didn't realize that. Okay.
So born in Philly, raised in Texas. They're kind of like the same thing, just different accents.
It'd be a drinking game with this pod. Katie's like, I'm from Texas.
I know. And so, no, but it is. When I watch this movie, it does remind me of people
growing up.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
Well, here's the thing: is like the Texas Chainsaw family, like they look like dudes I knew. There's lots of like rockabilly looking guys in Texas with like long hair, skinny little scangly guys. They probably listen to 311. They got a rape vibe.
Amber is the color of their energy.
Yes. Is the color of their roofie. Okay, anyway, I actually used to be a huge 311 fan, and I would go see them. But that like this, all these people look like they would have been at a
Woodstock.
Yes, but also like they look like Dave Matthews fans and 311 fans in Texas.
They do, and then suddenly out of nowhere, you've got Jerry, the guy driving. He's just coded as like New York Jew. And he's just so like
yes,
he
totally.
couldn't be any more, and that's probably because all these guys that directed it, like Kim Henkel and Toby Hooper, they're all from Austin.
Yeah,
so
dude, UT is fun. This was when UT was like cool.
Yeah.
And independent thinkers. But dude, this is such a good movie. And so Toby Hooper, if you don't know, he also did other horror movies, Poltergeist. Another favorite. I still have memories of Poltergeist that I think about throughout the day. You've probably seen Poltergeist. No way. It actually is pretty scary still. It's kind of like watching The Shining.
That's why I wouldn't watch.
There's this part where this guy's looking in the mirror and then suddenly he's like ripping his flesh off, but it's just a night, like it's them fucking with him. And every time
you think that's hilarious?
No, I was gonna say every time I have like a zit I want to pop, I start thinking about that.
damn.
What's really funny about the Poltergeist is all the the destructive familial trauma and toxicity about just the dad and everybody just being terrible about trying to cope with this whole thing, and that's a fun one.
That's a fun one too.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll have to,
Fun
dude,
one.
it really is. And fucking Zelda Rubinstein's how I want to be when I'm old.
Zelda Rubinstein.
That's
She's
like
great.
what I'm literally wearing a fucking jumpsuit right now. Like Zelda, look up Zelda Rubinstein. I already dress like her. I love her.
Caroline.
Look into the
Oh
lights.
yeah. I know what you're
Okay.
talking about.
Yes. Okay. This is gonna be me when I'm old.
From Teen Witch.
Look at her. Yep. Yes, she's so cute. She has the tiniest little voice. She was the best. So everybody in this cast is actually from Texas too, which is funny. Is what I read. Maybe the guy from New York though. There's probably one.
Well, I think Leatherface is Icelandic.
Oh my god, really?
Gunnar Hansen is.
Yes. Oh my god, that's so funny because he does have like a vibe. I mean, it's like an outcast vibe in a bunch of Texans. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, anyone can feel that way
Born in
if you go
Reykjavik,
down to the south.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen, we'll go through the plot a little bit, but I think everyone knows this plot.
Yeah,
you've seen this, I'm sure.
They kidnap him, right? They get kidnapped and tortured. That's the gist of what I know.
That's pretty much exactly what. But so it's weird though because
like Hostel before Hostel.
There is a little more.
It just did everything first.
It's like the first, and Stephen King fucking loved this, and this was when Stephen King was writing books. So
he's still writing books.
No. Like when he was like taking off is what I meant. Okay. Like he really took off, and like what isn't Carrie his first book? And that
Carrie's
was the 70s?
his first book. Yeah, that he on a coke binge. He wrote the thing in like 3 weeks and then threw it in the trash, and his wife had to dig it out and send it in for him. He was so out of his mind.
Dude, I read Carrie, and then this is dirty. I happened to masturbate to 74. The part where I wasn't thinking on it. Yes, 74, dude. This was filmed in 74.
All right. Cool. Nice last one.
And so I listened to Carrie, and I was masturbating at the part where she burns it all down because I think I just also identified my trauma with Carrie, because like I just feel like with all these people in my life recently that I've like shed, I'm just like, you know what? No one deserves you. And so it's it's an
good.
amazing part of the book. It really is. If you haven't read it, it's so good. Anyway, and then I watched the movie, and it's like so sexual, and I was like, okay, so I'm not crazy. Anyway, so
Brian De Palma's a monster.
Doesn't it start off with like in the shower scene of
like
a high school?
Presumably
it's
teenage
too much.
Yeah,
it's too much.
It's a lot of
That's the only scene I've seen.
Oh yeah, it's like too much. It's like to the point where you're like, okay, this isn't like, but it also does set the tone for horror. Like there's so much like hot sexual scenes in horror films. It's so bizarre, but I think it's because of trauma. Like I do. There's so much trauma
it's all in the
around
stew.
sex.
Yeah,
and it all starts from your childhood.
Same cauldron. The witch's brew.
So we're talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, not Carrie. And I keep doing this. I ate an edible today because I was like, I need to be up. I just unpacked a lot of trauma with my therapist. Okay. So I was like, I need a little.
Sure.
I also love an edible on a Saturday, and so I'm just getting ADHD as fuck right now, though. Okay, so, so we'll go through it though. So the thing is, they guise this movie, and please, you know how you listen, know. So they guise this movie as a real thing. They're like, these are real events.
Like
and
the Blair Witch.
Yes, but this is the first movie to do that. Yeah. So Blair Witch.
John Larroquette from Night Court randomly just does the opening. 4 or 5 teenagers from Texas. This is their story. I think they paid him in weed or something. And then
he did.
Ran off. Yeah.
Or land in Texas.
Yeah.
You want a cow? Here's a bull.
And then you hear like a cemetery in 1973. A cemetery in Texas has been banned, and they make it in 1973. So everyone in the theaters was like,
this could have been
a year
real.
ago. It's like the mermaids. Okay, so they're like, this is real. Okay, so bodies were desecrated and put into like weird sculptures, satanic sculptures and stuff. And so they hear this on the radio and all these awful things. Right? Wasn't that one of the things on the radio? The radio was also talking about like,
yeah, they use the word grizzly a lot, and then they have that horrible the sound in this movie is the thing that creeps me out the most. The ka-ting,
the picture sounding.
Yeah, the sound of a flashbulb going off, and it starts off right after that very gooey. You see these like desecrated corpses, all very grisly art pieces. I think
and it's just like that camera going off, and then darkness.
Tragedy which befell a group of 5 youths.
Is this what you're talking about?
Sally Hardesty and her invalid brother Franklin.
Invalid brother.
It is all the
invalid is not so smart.
Disabled.
disabled.
Yeah, he's in a wheelchair, but yeah.
Invalid. He's also saying invalid and it's like invalid. Is it, or are those two different plays on words?
Yeah, it's just invalid sounded less horrible, I think.
Yeah. And
he used to describe someone who was ill. Could have been someone with pneumonia. Could have been an invalid, quote unquote.
Yeah. There's lots of awful
or tuberculosis
language from this time, especially in Texas. Yeah. Invalid. A person made weak. Can we hear how it said? Invalid or invalid?
Invalid.
So that's spelled
Invalid.
the same but two different words. Is that what I'm getting? Okay. What the heck? I always thought it was invalid.
Yeah,
yeah.
Homophone. I don't. None of that shit from English has ever been.
Yeah, totally. Well, it's some dated language in there, and then, so then it opens to, these group of kids driving on a Texas highway. This girl Sally and her brother, who they're talking about, Franklin, they're going to visit their old family house, or homestead, and now it's abandoned. And so while they're on their way there, they pick up a crazy guy and he's super scary. It almost feels like clowning, like his whole thing, like
like the hitchhiker. Yeah, he is just
it's just like a total,
yeah,
he's like, look, I cut myself, and like then he starts trying to cut, and then they throw him out, and then he's all weird and triggered and scary. And so they then pull over to a gas station, and because they're out of gas, and then Franklin at some point falls. There's lots of trauma for Franklin. It's very interesting.
And they treat him like, and for the record, everybody in this movie except for, well, I would say the group of friends, they're all assholes.
Yeah.
They are so cruel and mean to Franklin the whole time. There's like this whole cult of people that are happy to see Franklin get killed because he's quote unquote annoying. But I'm like,
oh, that's terrible.
It's like 110 degrees and you're stuck in a wheelchair with like 4 of the worst people.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so sad.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I'm like, wow, this is like really showing how ableist the whole, like, your world is as a person with a disability.
Well, when they go to visit the house, they just leave him on the first floor.
I know.
They're like, we're gonna go play in this old lake, and
he's fucking having to roll around on grass, like that. You know that's like uneven fucking dirt. That's just like terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah, they huff and puff, but they have to bring the boards out for him. Ugh.
He's like, I literally have to do so much just to move around. Like, fuck you. And so Franklin sees like witchcraft stuff too. And so he's seeing everything before everyone else is really understanding what's happening too, which is terrifying because he's, he has this disability. People are leaving him alone. He's like, witchcraft, what the fuck? And it's like lots of like weird bones and little symbols and things and strings. Another thing that influenced the Blair Witch Project. So when Pam and Kirk go to this, they're like, we want to go. So they're basically like, we're gonna go swim, and they tell Franklin to his face, like, we're gonna go swim, bye, and it's like,
well, it's funny too because it teases all these things that later movies would do, where it's like, ooh, these two hot youths are gonna go into a pool and swim, but like there is nary a bit of skin seen in this entire movie.
Yeah, totally.
And so that they pull that away from you. No, you're not gonna do that. Even Psycho had it.
Yeah.
And Texas Chainsaw Massacre was like, no.
Yeah.
They're just going to get to a house and then shit's going to get real.
Yeah. So they like go, it's dried up. So then they go to, they're trying to find a generator and for their house, right? And, or they hear a gas generator and they're like, oh, that means there's like a farmhouse nearby. So they go to this other house and it is obviously Leatherface's family's house. And so I think they start investigating the house. They're like knocking and stuff, and they just go in.
Yeah, Kirk just sort of walks in.
Yeah, which
is he hears this weird
so
like
dumb.
oinking noise, like, and he goes to the door, and that's when.
Yeah, he hears like a piggy sound, and then Leatherface literally opens up this. You guys see Leatherface? It's like a huge reveal. It feels like drag almost. Like it's like this door just opens, and he's standing there with a chainsaw.
Where he hits him with a hammer.
Or he has the hammer the first time. And so then you're like, and then it's just, but he has like the leather face on and everything. And you're like, oh my God. And then he just takes him And so then you get this awesome shot of Pam's ass like walking into the house, which is very just like I love those beautiful 70s shots of like them just like there really was this
yeah, it's like a Dutch angle but with real butt.
Yeah, and then she's like it's just cute. It's like there's so many I feel like that even not in horror, those kinds of shots are so common.
Is this the butt angle?
Yeah.
What's his face? Ty West pretty much in a good way stole a lot of this for X, Pearl and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just kind of this really interesting artsy way to convey the beauties of a female body. And so she's leading up to the house, but it also I think shows how like meek this is gonna be compared to Leatherface. Like this girl, this little strangly girl, this little hot ditty is like walking into this house. She's like such a victim, and so Pam goes back for Kirk though because she can't find him. And then she finds like a room. This is where like all the weird, crazy bone shit and there's like bones and everything hanging by
chicken
strings
noises,
and like
random chicken noises.
Oh yeah, there's a chicken in a cage on the wall that's just like going like
there's just feathers and like bird shit everywhere.
It's just mayhem. And you're like, what is going on? Is this like a little like butcher, like a DIY butcher's house, or is this a witchcraft house, or is like what is this?
They're artists, dude.
Yeah, it is actually. I love what they did because it's creepy art. You know what I mean? And it really does set the mood. And she's like running into all these little bones floating in the air, and she starts to kind of like get freaked out really crazy in this like room, and then she like starts bringing a lot of attention. She's screaming and calling and all these things. And Leatherface finally shows up and she's just like, and he grabs her and he grabs her like she's a piece of meat and he puts her on a meat hook. And so many movies have used that since that too.
Yeah. And once again, like you mentioned this earlier, but you don't really, at this point, the amount of blood has been almost non-existent.
Yes.
And there's really no, like, you don't see things happening. Like you saw Kirk get hit, but he like twitched around. So it's more of it's left to
cutting,
imagine.
Like
you just see his arms. You don't see her getting hacked bits or anything.
Yeah, and so it's all suggested, which makes you, for some reason, you're like, oh my god, And so the meat hook part is like the most brutal part. That is so scary, yeah, right? And so she, So he puts her on a meat hook, and then while that's happening, starts just like chopping up Kirk's body in front of her, and she's just horrified, screaming. And so back at the house, people start to wonder where everyone is, and so Jerry goes to find Pam, and
This is after like taunting Franklin for half an hour.
Yeah, that's
telling
true.
him, he's like, I gave the hitchhiker I gave him your telephone number. I gave him your zip code too. He's gonna find you. And I'm like, calm down. Dude.
I know, it's like so fucking mean. But that is so that's so much like so many young people I know that were just like insensitive like that. I mean, your brain's not fully developed until early 20s, right? So it's like,
God, if you're lucky.
For whatever age these kids are, they're like early 20s. They're all just a bunch of assholes.
Well, Jerry looks like he's 38 years old.
I know, they're all definitely. I mean, that's like the beauty of movies in the 70s. All the kids were like,
they lived harder.
Adults. All of them were adults. So they do that. Then he goes, and then he opens up a refrigerator. He goes in the house. He opens up the fridge, and Pam is in the fridge, and she opens, and then the minute he's like, oh my god, Leatherface kills him, he falls out. She climbs out of the freezer, and then she almost climbs out of the freezer. Leatherface shoves her back in. Then it's nighttime.
And also, this is one of my favorite parts is after he gets Jerry, you see this kind of almost sympathetic or sympathy evoking part where Leatherface is just starting to get agitated and freaked out. He's kind of like grabbing his head and he's looking around. He's like, why are all these people coming?
Yeah, he's like, why is everyone
why do they come to me to die?
And then so they hint like, so later in the film they'll hint that like his family just lost their jobs and shit, and so like it is like a stressful time for him. So then all these people keep coming, and he's freaking out, but he's also like, I mean, it's conveyed that he has also like an intellectual disability, I feel like. And so he's stressed out. He doesn't know how to handle it. And in his regard, he is like, why are people coming here? Like you said.
Yeah.
It reminds me so much of Grendel. Like, did you ever read the book Grendel?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like from the monster point of view.
Beowulf is the monster in that story.
Yeah.
Like, Grendel's just like, I'm a fucking troll. I just want to sit here and hang out with my mom. And they're like, just keep hurling Norwegian soldiers at you for your entire life. Like, ugh, come on.
Yeah, poor Grendel. It's no good. Okay, anyway, so Sally and Franklin then have to go. Finally, they're the last ones. And so they're looking for everyone in the woods, and which is so scary. It's so like that also very heavily, I think, influenced Blair Witch Project, because like the camera shots are so shaky and it feels like you are on just like a camcorder.
Yeah, it's the first time you have like a big sort of figure like Michael Myers or Jason chasing after people in the woods.
Yes.
With some sort of implement. Finally got his chainsaw.
Yeah, and he like gears up the chainsaw and starts coming after them. And so they're coming after them, and like Sally's pushing a wheelchair with a person in it through these woods. You know it's not easy. And so sadly Franklin gets taken by Leatherface, and it's awful because he's in the chair and he's like
he kind of just gets gutted in this.
You don't see anything. Yeah. You don't see anything. All you see is Franklin like this from the back, and like it's like a play where they insinuate it, you know?
Yeah, you're really seeing more of Sally's reaction to watching her brother get his chest caved in.
Yes, and so it's interesting because there's no gore at all, even though you're seeing it from behind, but you're not able to see any blood. So it's just, I feel it more for some reason because it's not just showing it. I don't even know. It's weird. It plays with your mind like that. But so you're just like, that would be awful. Sorry, Franklin. R.I.P. So then Sally's by herself running for her fucking life. She finally gets to a gas station, and the guy, she sees like meats in the gas station, and it's interesting because it's like, I feel like she's like identifying with the meats, you know, like she's like, oh my God, they're gonna turn me in. And then she maybe is like kind of putting it together, like, what if these people know? You know what I mean? You don't really know. They don't say it, but it's like where your mind goes. And so it's like and then to me, that's a little foreshadowing of like, this is not a safe place. So then the guy's like, yeah, let me help you. And he's like, I'll be right back. And then he pulls up in a truck and he's like trying to take her, and she's like, no. And then they're all like, yeah. And then this is like one of the most horrific, hardest parts of the whole film. They take her. It is true. They're all related. So they end up taking her back to their house. And that's where you start hearing like the family yelling at each other. And like, it's just like all trauma, like cycling trauma between the family. And then she's in the middle of it. And she's just like this, like, it's almost like she's the dog of the family or something, you know, like, and it's like a sadistic family.
You got that great line too, with Jim Seidel, the sort of patriarch, who's just like, I can't take no pleasure in killing, and but he still won't stop anything from happening.
Yeah,
so he's just like, I've lost control over these two boys.
Yeah, look up Texas Chainsaw Massacre dining room scene.
Which also, that's a thing that has been as a trope that.
Yes, so like this crazy family where nobody really is like talking to each other. It's kind of like my family. Brad was like, whenever I'm around your family, he's like, no one's listening, and I'm like, I know.
Well, there's interesting coding too with the dinner scene, because then Leatherface has changed his appearance. Like he at one point puts on like an apron.
Yeah, and
like
he's
makeup,
like wearing like a suit,
and then
like see, these guys look like the 311 guys I was talking about, like the guy who was on the.
Yeah.
Yeah, they totally look like people. Like, I mean, they are people from Texas. But
yeah, that's why they look that way.
Oh my God! And you see the lamp? The lamp has like a face.
Yeah,
it's like someone's skin.
When you got Grandpa here, who's, I guess, the real patriarch. He's the one that they were talking about, where like he lost his job at the slaughterhouse because they switched from hitting the cows with hammers to hitting them with the air gun.
Yeah, and
he can't use an air gun.
Well, there's all this like, look at these carpetbaggers come down here stealing our jobs and all this stuff, and so there is a lot of that's a real concern, but like
yeah, it's pretty. It's just
there was a lot of that heartache, I think, probably in Texas and just in the economy in general in the 70s.
Yeah, it's a horrible place for her because it's that same thing where it's like she is being tortured. He's like, I can't do it, but I can't do anything. And it's like, oh my God, like you absolutely could, and nobody is like listening to each other. They're all just doing this. I read that this was a 24-hour shoot.
It was.
And that's fucking crazy. And she was actually freaked out. She said that she did not enjoy these guys being tied to a chair, having these guys yell at her for 24 hours.
They actually had to cut her finger too because they couldn't get the fake blood to work. So
she is traumatized.
They cut her finger to feed to Grandpa, so she actually had to have
that's so
that
gross.
Guy in the back sucking blood out of her.
Like I feel bad for both of them.
Oh yeah.
Like that's because they were not paid well until later on.
Oh yeah, no one was. They were getting paid in like Lone Star. And,
but it's such an iconic. Now I'm sure also like there's lots of shit going back to this movie. It makes so much money now, but Jesus. And so it was a 24-hour shoot, 100 degrees.
Like
outside.
they shot the whole movie in 24 hours.
No, that scene.
That
dinner scene
took
took 24 hours. Just 24 hours of fucking digging into her like that. So she really was fucking crazy in that scene because she's losing her mind, dude. And then so she finally gets free after all this crazy shit with them at the house. And she's running through. She's barely making it. Oh my God, they're so close when she's running away from him. It just makes you so tense because it's also such an old film that it's like almost bad acting, but at the same time it's so frustrating because he's literally going like this and she's like just a step above of
you
him.
Could tell you feel like Leatherface, you could probably get her.
Yeah, you could probably get her, but he's not, so it is stressful.
Yeah.
And her acting is phenomenal.
She's covered in blood too, just head to toe,
and like the sun's coming up. That's how long for her in this movie. Yes. And then the guy's also coming after her
with his little
her Leatherface's brother, 311 boy.
311 boy.
He's coming after her, which I wouldn't like that either.
Gotta become original.
Yeah. He's like, okay, so
I gotta really dig into my history with 311 because I used to love the shit out of them, but now I'm seeing them from a different perspective.
It's the fans, not 311. Actually, I heard there's some drama with 311, but the fans that it attracts, bad people. Okay, anyway. There's maybe a few guys that are cool, but
probably
like IDT. Remember, he got canceled. He was a 311 guy.
Yeah, well, he got canceled. So
yeah, so they're all bad. No, I'm just kidding. Some of the guys I knew I went.
Is this the cover of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
That looks like the cover of the sequel.
Does. It's so funny. Okay, so then she's running through the woods. Then this huge 18-wheeler. She runs across the street, and then brother gets like ran over by this 18-wheeler. He gets pancake smeared. He's a schmear now. And then she's still, and then it stops though because it sees her run, and then it knows it ran over someone. So like the bus driver's immediately also triggered, and he stops, and then and then Leatherface is there. So then this poor man who like accidentally ran over someone. Then realizes that it's like this fucking like he comes in at the end. This poor man.
He and Sally get back into his truck, and then for some reason they leave out the other side.
Yeah, they leave out the other side, which doesn't make any sense.
I would love to see like a branching narrative. Of what the fuck happened to this poor truck driver?
Yeah, we should look up the ending because I mean
what he's dealing with.
It's pretty funny and it's old and fake, JD. So don't worry, it's like very. And no one.
You want me to YouTube it?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre ending 1974. So like they go in the truck and then they go the other side and you're like, but why didn't you go? And then they're running and then the guy does die, which is so sad. And then another truck comes up and she hops in and she's at this point laughing because she actually gets away, but she's like, and then you see the classic look of
Yeah, Leatherface doing his little spin.
Yeah, here we go. This is it. Okay, he honestly looks like so many comics I know.
Yeah, that could be Mitch Jones right there.
That could be
running
Sam
away.
Talon or
Could be,
Nathan
yeah.
Lund.
So he nails him right in the kisser with like a wrench.
Yes.
That's the most blood in the movie is when Leatherface
and you see him
cuts himself by mistake.
You just see it like laying on his leg.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And so
I can't believe he didn't also pick up the truck driver. This is just...
Wait, he doesn't get him, does he?
No, he doesn't get him. You just have to, I guess, assume that...
Oh yeah, he just runs out?
Yeah, he's just...
That's right. Okay, so
if I was driving by that, I wouldn't stop either. I'd be like swerving around.
Yeah,
like,
and
no.
just keep going.
No, I would live with that cognitive dissonance for the rest of my life.
This person is
Probably
so nice.
fine.
This citizen. The citizen. And then this is like what you
My
see on
grandpa has that truck.
There's haunted hayrides you can ride where they do this.
Yeah, I've gone to like the corn mazes where they like chase you with the chainsaw.
Yes, it's like so scary, right?
And she's laughing, and you just know that she's
lost. She's fucked for life.
She's fucked. This is not going away. Not with 70s therapy.
That's not 311
and then
this
is like the iconic shot, him just like dancing with his chainsaw.
I guess the implication I always thought was that he's probably just gonna collect his brother's corpse, go make a nice little skeleton out of him.
Credits.
Yeah, he's not really processing.
Oh my god, I feel like this is like senior year in high school. Oh god.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I had that CD, Brad.
Bruh. I mean, I fucking used to jam out. You know what I'm talking about, though. They are.
You know what I'm talking about? 311 heads out there.
There are still 311 heads. So why did you pick this movie?
I don't know. I think this is probably the first movie that I remember really wanting to see that was super, what I thought at the time, I mean, super edgy and like forbidden, you know, because I remember growing up and going to Blockbuster and local video stores and stuff. I grew up in Florida, so it's like the Texas of the East, I guess.
It's like the water Texas.
Yeah, it's water Texas.
Oh, interesting.
It's swamp Texas.
It's like there's weird people and there's animals that can kill you.
Yeah, at every turn. Yeah. So I would definitely see the cover a lot. And even though my dad and mom were pretty permissive, you know, like they were more like, you know, Hammer, monster movie, Big Trouble in Little China type people. So this is, I remember when I was in junior college, Netflix was just like pretty new. And I just, you know, I got a credit card and an account and just ordered so many discs. And this was like the first thing I think I saw when I was getting discs on Netflix. And it was just disappointed because I'd probably seen worse shit than that, at least horror and like blood and gore wise. And then it wasn't until years later that I started to like really look at it with a critical lens and realized that it was really just an art house movie.
Yeah, that
has a really, you know, evocative and provocative name. And I don't know, there's just something so, you know, like podcast hosts talk about like cozy movies like The Shining and things like that are just, but this is almost like a cozy movie. Like when it's really cold out, I'll throw this on and you know,
totally.
This and Soylent Green, other movies that are really sweaty all the time.
No, I feel that it's riveting.
It's riveting.
I feel that way about The Thing.
Yes.
I mean, it's so claustrophobic. It's like, of course.
But then you got all that Kurt Russell facial hair to grip on too.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Child.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, that's kind of my history with it, and it just sort of one of those things that sank into my brain.
Or no, Keith David. What if I say Dave Child? Keith David.
I was trying to think of my like go-to comfort movie.
And it's definitely
so
not
different.
That's so funny. No, that's great. No, it's funny. Like I feel the same way. Like I saw the new ones. I saw the one with oh fuck, what's just
because there's 3 sequels to this.
The 19 or is it early 2000s, like the 2001?
It was like 2001 or 3.
2003 that like
there's like a reboot and then there are like canonical
2003
sequels. Yeah.
I saw this. I was 13 years old. Jessica Biel, baby. She did so good though. I really do think looking back on
those
it.
are all pretty fun too, and I
thought it was fun. I mean, it scared the shit out of me when I was that age.
This
is when I didn't even know if I liked horror, but I remember seeing the theater and like
You're horror curious.
Yeah, I was just like, oh my god, the part where she sees her boyfriend's face. So this guy wears the kid's face, and looking
this
back,
is 311 right here.
That is very 311 right there. But yeah, oh my god,
we're watching the trailer just for the listener.
This is giving me such nostalgia.
Travis County.
And so, man, I gotta rewatch this one too, because
they swapped the hitchhiker and they took the Franklin sort of trope out.
Yeah, and
didn't age well.
It's like a grandma in this one too, right? Which
I gotta say, I do like the house in this one a lot more. It's got this sort of like plantation look to it that gives it a lot of historical load.
Yeah, it's like definitely more, and just Leatherface himself, they make him so much more. You feel for him for some reason in the old one, and this one, he's terrifying.
Oh yeah. There's no
like
we could sit down and maybe talk.
And the cameras are in the walls. I forgot about that part. Oh, this is scary too. The part with the fucking. There's so many tropes in this one that I think are from like that reminds me like that curtain scene. They do that in the 1990 It as well. And anyway, amazing. It really did inspire so much.
Yeah, those were a lot of fun. I like the direct sequel which Tobe Hooper did, which is almost a comedy, and it has Dennis Hopper for some reason as a bounty hunter looking to avenge the deaths of these youths. And then the third one, like Leatherface goes to New York.
That's so funny.
Then the fourth one is Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger, and it's the new generation. And that one brings in all this Illuminati lore and becomes like a conspiracy theory thing. Yeah, it's
that 95.
Yeah. That was Zellweger's first role, I think. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
And McConaughey is actually a lot of fun in that one. He is.
I mean, he's great.
He's chewing it up. His ham time.
He's such a little ham.
Oh,
he really is.
He talks about this movie in his biography or his autobiography.
Does he speak about it wistfully or?
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, this happened," and then I because he was going to school around that time or something, and it just like made him think, "Oh, you can do film." Stuff
oh
like
yeah,
that.
well, he was just in every Texas director
Texas guy.
would use him. Yeah.
I mean, and then that indie movie he was in that like blew up.
Oh, Dazed and Confused.
Yeah, that was
that
was just like the DIY like indie filmmaker, do it yourself stuff.
I love that filmmaker.
Linkletter.
Waking Life, amazing.
Yeah, Next Generation.
1.5 stars. Come on.
Wow.
For The Next Generation.
Yeah, that's just
that's really funny though.
Well, Kim Henkel and he actually co-wrote the original.
That's so.
He was just having fun. I mean, it's one of those things like on Letterboxd. It's like 1.5 stars with a heart. Like it's not good, but you still love it.
Yeah. Well, so Hooper said that by the time he finished the film, he thought that everyone hated him.
I'm sure.
And
somebody.
He goes, because I knew what I wanted and I knew how to get it. And that's like a nice way of being like, I was a fucking asshole. And
William Friedkin was probably
very James Cameron of it.
Way. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And he said, so Hansen, the guy who plays Leatherface, said it's an odd sort of thing. Hansen says of his relationship with the director. The first time I saw him and years later, he actually was clearly nervous that I had walked into the room and sort of backed away. Oh my God. And I wondered about that because I thought he was really good to work with. I mean, he was very demanding in a sense that had a very clear vision of how he wanted to shoot the scene, but great. He's the kind of director who focused on getting the shot framed and getting the shot lit and blocking out the scene. So he let the actors really be free. It was up to me to create Leatherface. I do like that. And I feel like I've heard that Alex Garland, another one of my favorite directors, lets people act the same way in his. He's like, I don't want to make them be anything. I just want to like get these beautiful shots and let them explore their characters. And it's cool because you can really feel that with certain movies like this.
You definitely can. It does not come from the the George Lucas school of directing, where his directions are all faster, more louder.
Yeah, totally. Leatherface was the first boogeyman of his kind, and the first one used a like weapon that's not like a knife.
And what was it? I think it was Black Christmas was before this.
Yeah,
and I
dude,
think
Black Christmas was so good.
But that's like the first like slasher, but it still didn't. It was still like using a lot of like Hitchcock.
Yeah,
tropes.
and more like the guy just being crazy on the phone, and you don't really actually see what happens. You see the bodies after.
So it was the same year.
Yeah.
Black Christmas, 1974.
Wow, the same year, man. That was a good year for horror.
That's another cozy one.
That is. So one thing I really love is that the villains in the movie are so charismatic and insane. That's what Rob Zombie said. And rather than just being these faceless killers who are boring, you're swept up in their own family drama between themselves. They're torturing themselves as much as they're torturing their victims. And the actors, you're watching them and going, I don't know, are they actors?
Well,
they're so convincing,
hurt people.
and you never see anything less that you go, I don't know, maybe that guy's real.
Zombie, like House of a Thousand Corpses and the Firefly trilogy. That's all sort of shamelessly, but also really well done and taken from everything that Texas Chainsaw did, just like up to 11.
Yeah. And so let's talk his inspo. So Toby got the idea for a villain wielding a chainsaw when he was Christmas shopping at a Montgomery Ward department store.
Oh, that brings me back.
Raised by parents who owned a movie theater. He had already decided that he wanted to make movies. Toby saw George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead in 1968 and fell in love with the way Romero created a genuinely scary and politically conscious story. Back at the department store, Christmas crowds overwhelmed Toby as he stood near a stack of chainsaws. He had a misanthropic fantasy about firing one of them up and using them to cut his way to freedom through the crowd. Immediately, he felt that this was the idea that would become his big movie. And then he said that the new shinier chainsaw is more than just a piece of a moving picture of memorabilia. It's a chance for the audiences to revisit the political underpinnings that led to the film's creation in the first place. Though it's easy to think that the film, as a straight-up horror movie, Texas Chainsaw Massacre also belongs to the new Hollywood movement that was happening during the 1970s, an era when films were being influenced by the pervasive disillusionment resulting from events like Watergate and the Vietnam War. So it's very deep.
It is. I mean, like all those new Hollywood guys, they just made bummer after bummer after bummer in the 70s, but it was with reason, I'm sure. Just post Nixon, post Watergate, everybody was so disillusioned. Everybody was so afraid of the city, and you start to see like that's one of my favorite eras just for cinematography is any movie that takes place in 70s New York, it just looks like a war zone.
It's true.
It's so trashy and so fun, but like according to my dad, who used to live in the Bowery in the 70s, was like, yeah, no, that's what it was like.
That's great. I bet it was excruciating in the summertime.
Oh god.
Which also, so like we said, so that one scene took 24 hours, but this was a long and hard shoot. The whole thing was terribly hot. Leatherface's costume was wait, what was it? Okay, so
he was so stinky that no one wanted to get near him, I think.
Yeah, he was like literally, which is also why she probably was like so like, I mean, I can't stand bad smells, and so I feel like I would be dying if but so he had that like silicone, or is it, what's the word? It's not silicone, it's okay, well, it's plastic, and it's on his face, and he was like, it was so close to my face that he was just like soaking wet under like rubber basically.
Oh, God.
And it's like 100 degrees outside.
I imagine the Chewbacca costume smelling.
I bet. Just terrible. And then they did kind of come up with his costume, based it on Ed Gein, a serial killer from Wisconsin, and they wanted him to kind of convey like mentally unwell. And so that's why you see lots of like bones and like the face lamp and stuff in there.
Ed
and
Gein was a bit of a decorator.
those are all things that were in the news too. So it's like, I wonder if it was triggering the public in the way when they found out about Ed Gein and stuff like that. Like, what's really, they're like, oh my God, these are real fears, you know? And it feels so like, I mean, Texas Chainsaw does feel like something that could happen in Texas. Even growing up there, we were all like, that fucked me up. Growing up here, we brought my friend who had just moved. My friend Lee had just moved from Boston to Texas. And she was like, that fucked me up. She was like, moving here and seeing that movie. And that's the new one. So it is like a staple, I feel like, especially for childhood, of like your first horror film for multiple generations. So you do believe in aliens?
Yeah, I guess. Like I said, I don't believe in anything too much.
What about ghosts?
Sure, I don't know if they're like dead spirits and in some Judeo-Christian thing, but maybe they're just like it's matter or echoes of matter or something. I mean, I feel like it sucks. Like there's this whole other maybe part of existence after we perish, and everyone is like, oh, it's totally fine over here. So everyone on this other side is just worrying in perpetuity about what it is, and it's going to be fine. But
yeah.
I have no idea. Maybe that's what ghosts are. Maybe that's what aliens are.
Yeah, they're all kind of, that's what Krista was saying. Like they're kind of the same thing is what research that people are finding. And I don't know. I need to look into that. But
I definitely believe in like in like physical objects having a bad sort of vibe. Like,
oh yeah,
going to, there was
the dolls, the porcelain dolls,
or haunted dolls, or just like an old house that some bad shit happened. Like I remember there was a Denny's across from where I live now in Inglewood that closed down, and they took all their old seats out. And I was telling a friend like who collects that stuff, I'm like, maybe you should go pick up one of these benches for your apartment. And he's like, I don't want the psychic energy from a Denny's bench like in my apartment, like a
so
Denny's
funny.
that has been there forever. And I'm like,
that's a Perkins guy. Huh?
Yeah. The energy to Perkins is probably better. I don't know.
No, I get that. I used to, one of my aunts used to buy me these porcelain dolls, and I would put them all down when I go to bed at night because I just couldn't look at their faces while I was sleeping.
Yeah, that'd be rough.
Yeah. Well, and I think I also, kid of the 90s, I saw Chucky in that scene where one of the Chucky films where he is being made, and you see like the plastic melting and all stuff, and then he's finally a doll and he's like, ha, 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 and you're like, ah. I was so young when I saw that. Oh my God.
Yeah, I try to be pretty nice to inanimate objects with faces. Just hedging my bets.
What about AI things? Are you nice to Siri? Are you nice to Alexa?
I say thank you. I don't know if I'm too big on the Roko's basilisk thing where you're supposed to say that you want to help AI along. Otherwise, if it comes along, then it'll know that you didn't. And But
interesting. I haven't heard any of this.
Oh, it's just some silly thought experiment that
get with the times, Katie.
Yeah.
Oh my God, AI's scary for sure. It scares the shit out of me.
You're more scared of AI than you are of spirits.
Yeah. Because that means like my whole existence is meaningless. Like people are my sister has a headshot right now and it's made by AI. So what I thought was like that was a photo of her, but it's an image created of her face by AI. So it's
using
not
other pictures.
Actually her. Yes. So she was like, oh my God. And I was like, trying to be supportive. I didn't know that looking at it. I was like, wow, she looks a little different, but she looks pretty. So I'm going to tell her she looks pretty. So I told her she looks pretty, and she messaged me and was like, I used it. It's actually AI. I used it on this. I'm never paying for headshots again.
You got punked by AI.
And but then I also am like, oh my God, like I feel like headshots, I see a difference in like Jeff Stonick's photography and, Nick Holmley's photography and I feel like people do catch this like part of people that I love and I will never want. Like, I think it looks better than AI. It's like real, and so it's sad because I feel like it is just like people are so happy and like, you don't have, it is more affordable. Like I see why she's saying that. Like
and you don't want real in a headshot. she wants presentable, like, right? Like, isn't it for like a business?
Yeah, but yeah, just for
So you
like I
don't
guess
want
her
reality, you
LinkedIn
want, like,
photo
hey,
or
look
something.
at me, I'm a professional.
But I feel like I like that personally, that like that part of it, like, and to me it's just also like, oh, that's gonna take away photographers' jobs, and so.
Or it'll make it more pure because the creating is for the sake of creating.
Yeah, but if AI is creating, like, get out of here. You're a computer. You're not allowed.
All right, I guess we know how you feel about it.
I think it would be. I think it would be okay if like we
I'm
all
totally
had
kidding, you guys.
had a like a sort of a time machine, like the novel Time Machine, like that sort of existence where we were all just taken care of and didn't have to worry about anything, and maybe AI art would be fine.
Yeah, but the fact that it's like, oh, this can and so many people paid for AI art.
What if like Leatherface's mask was made by AI? It's like he didn't do that himself.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't carve that poor woman's face off. Jeez.
Oh my god.
God, he doesn't even. He
ruined.
No, but it's scary to me, and it's like I can make you a cool portrait, but AI, and I just feel like it's like it looks like fucking like it looks like art you would find at like IKEA, like it's not any, like I'm like, don't you want stuff from people? There's like a connection to it. I'm reading this wizard series called the Skullomance series. It's like a darker Harry Potter, but it's like really fun. No, there's only one sex part in it, but and it's actually really good. But you would like it. It's not too dark. It's like Harry Potter.
I can deal with things in books
Yeah.
better than movies.
I've told Mallory about it. It is cool, but there's a part where she talks about this, like, magic is mana, and she's like, you build mana through like the hard work that you do in life. And so if you cut yourself and you bled on like this little spell that you're making, then that has more mana in it than like just putting the spell in it without anything from you. And like, to me, that's like a very beautiful metaphor for like artwork. Like, I feel like, oh my god, I just bought this piece of art from this person. It's timeless. Like, this is going to be around forever until the world ends, or until someone destroys it. But it's like this beautiful thing, whereas like AI to me, it's just like this endless pool of like, it's like literally stealing ideas from other artists as a computer, which is kind of scary.
Well, yeah, it's cold, it's impersonal, it's not necessarily unique.
Well, nothing lasts forever, Katie.
Yeah. Even humans.
Yeah, part of it.
Thank goodness.
I just went off about that on Threads. I was like, you guys, the Earth will be here, but we're probably not going to be here that much longer. And who knows what longer
People
is.
have been saying that forever.
Yeah. Yeah, but it could be 100 years. It could be 60 years. We don't know.
You're giving us 100 years max?
I'm just giving like a number. I'm just throwing numbers out.
Sorry.
So if you were Sally, what would you have done? Would you try to square off with this guy, or you think you would have just been running? No one actually tries to fight him. That's the interesting part.
Yeah, no one tries to fight him. I don't know. I've thought about this too, and I think that knowing me, I'd probably just let it happen. I'd be there at the dinner table and maybe try to take some sort of I don't know, spiritual schadenfreude, looking at myself from outside, being like, how ridiculous is this? And thinking, well, I could have, died of cancer or something, but I'm going to be carved to death by a bunch of psychos in Midland, Texas. So I don't know. I might take some pleasure in that at the end. Who knows?
Yeah. Just let him take me.
Yeah, that's trying to rationalize.
I don't know why.
The fact that I would also just be completely paralyzed with fear.
I probably would have tried to fight, because that's like my own trauma, like trying to be. Why are you doing this? No, I'm just kidding.
None of this is right, guys.
I want to understand. But nice. So also, let's see what else. Oh yeah. So I mean, I feel like we read the reviews from some people that are good. Are there negative reviews about this movie? There always are. It's got a really good score on the tomato meter for everyone. 89. Audience score 82.
Well, I always like Roger Ebert's review.
Ooh, whoa.
He's just like, this shouldn't exist, but it is really well done.
That's oh my god, a despicable. Here we go. Linda Gross. A despicable film about 5 young people traveling through the desolate flatlands of Texas who seek refuge in a mansion. Craziness handled without sensitivity is degrading. Senseless misuse of film and time. Okay. Wow.
Nauseated and shaken.
Nauseated
Wow.
and shaken. Wow, but that just speaks to me how good that not using actual gore is at doing that. Cultish trash set new low standards for brutality. Oh, people just hate it. That's so funny because he's coming from a standpoint of like our world is awful and that's the message. It's like bigger than that, and they're just like, "This is gross."
It was still early enough in the 70s where people were trying to hang on to the being jazzed about
life.
They were still hanging on to that WW2 victory, and we're like, yeah, we've done all kinds of great things, and yeah, that's probably why you see horror appear the way it does when people are at their lowest or feeling at their lowest. Like there wasn't that a lot of great horror in the 90s that I go back to. A lot of it's fun, but I think it's gotten so much better lately because everyone is so fucking depressed about everything.
Yeah, there's a lot more political statements right now too.
Mhm.
Like the last Saw, I was like, okay, we're killing cops.
Hey, cat baby. I'm cool with that. Even when Michael Myers was,
that was
killing all those
definitely
firemen in the last one, I'm like, firemen are probably assholes.
That's so no, but I mean it's definitely like you're like, oh wow, they're really throwing some stuff in there.
Mhm.
Or in Talk to Me, sorry if it's a spoiler, it's in the trailer. But like all the phones, looking at everyone with their phones and like people just
Mhm.
being in their phones. There's lots of stuff about social and political stuff in horror films right now. So what scares you in real life?
This is probably so silly and cliche, but doing things. Like taking that next step into doing things. I probably have a huge problem with this, and this is just, therapy running over itself, flipping film, but like, I love inertia so much. Just being somewhat afloat, but not going in any direction. That is like the safest little place for me. So actually moving in any direction, whether that's going to be positive or negative and all this stuff, then there's all kinds of, traumas and things like that sort of prevent me from doing one or the other. But just that doing things thing
Yes.
for me is so difficult. I don't know if it has to do as much with like some, of the really basic things that people fear, but maybe it is. It's probably just fear of disappointment or fear of screwing up or whatever. And all the big things though, death, none of that really.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Yeah, no, totally.
Death is like the biggest thing, man.
So in a way, it's like a performance anxiety, right? Like it's
sure, yeah.
kind of like how you present yourself in the world, going to social interactions.
I blame the pandemic, frankly, but that's easy.
No, I mean, I think a lot of people, dude, working at Flight Club, just like the way people interact with you, it's insane. Like it's so insane. People are just so. I just feel like our social skills have gone like crazy now.
Oh yeah, they've
like,
turned to dog shit over the last couple of years.
So crazy. Like someone told Reskin, like Reskin was telling me, because he works with me, this guy Daniel Reskin, he's a comic, JD knows him. He was telling me that like someone was like, I don't like this guy, and I'm like, that's just so fucking rude. And it's like, we work here, like what? You're like, it's like saying that to like a waiter or anything,
Hilarious.
Like
people say that about me when I was a waiter all the time.
Oh my god, that's so that's so funny. Yeah. I only get rude. Like, okay, one time I went over to these people, and so my job there is I just like explain the games and keep people in the games, and I'm kind of doing crowd work on them the whole time because you're trying to like be like, what's your thing? Da da da. And you have to like break into these groups of people and be like, what's up? You guys good? You need any tips? You know how to play darts? Let's see who, you're like the hype man, but you're also kind of supposed to roast them, which I only roast if there's like a good connection there. Cause I tried roasting in the beginning, and like sometimes I'd roast like a 50-year-old man, and he'd be like, and just get steamy. And I was like, he's going to come after me. He was like giving me my angry dad, and like my childhood and angry dad scare. You know, like I was like, I don't like this.
And those guys need roasting the most,
because it's different when you're on a stage versus like working crowds of people.
They can't handle it.
They can't, but they need it. They need to be roasted so bad.
So I do try, but it's like, God, like I can feel, and maybe it's just that I'm a Cancer, but I can feel them getting tense, and like that feeling, it's just icky, and I hate it, and it seeps into me, and I get social anxiety about having to do it, even though I feel like I'm good at it once I'm doing it. But like the first people that I break into, or I would get social anxiety when I'd have to take people back at Planned Parenthood. Like I would see them at check-in, and they treat the person at check-in shitty, and I'm like, can't wait to bring that chart back. You know what I mean? And like,
you're gonna be taking all the heat for that one.
And so and then you bring them back, and they're like your best friend, and you're like, what the fuck? And it's just interesting. And so I feel like those interactions definitely attribute to people having like, I don't want to leave the house vibes. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and it's even some of the most banal things. Like I will not go to Chipotle because they ask too many questions, and I'm not prepared for that.
You know what?
I could go there and like list down all the different beans that I want, but they're just asking too many things, and I would freeze, and I would just leave. Be like, can you just point to a number? And
you feel that way, or you?
I mean, I'd like Chipotle a lot, so I mean,
I
not have it.
I
must be very far.
I will order it sometimes and make someone else, but then I don't like the gig thing. I feel bad for those people.
You do gotta be in a mood to go through the line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if it's so nice, you can
go through the line.
Yeah, you can order it online now, so that's so nice. You can show up and grab it. Pro tip.
I should do that. Yeah, I should do that.
Yeah, you literally can just walk in and grab it, and you can order it online. You don't have to do it, because I hate how, I feel like Illegal Pizza is worse. There's like way more talking there.
I recently went to Illegal Pizza,
and they're like, oh, you have tattoos, you get a free chip. Why didn't you say so?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to fucking talk about my tattoos with you. Just give me my food, dude. Like,
that was a bad. Yeah. Oh, I'd gone to I took like a little day just to, do something fun, and I like, going to bookstores that are relatively large so that I don't have to see or be near anyone.
Yeah.
Or like have a conversation with the shop owner, which is
Barnes and Noble or Tattered Cover?
I went to Broadway Book Mall because they moved, and I really like that place. But I went there, and then I'm like, oh, I can go to Illegal Pizzas. I've been there a while. And I'm like, I know I'm walking into a trap because they ask you 4,000 fucking questions about what you want. And I just want the fish thing, the tube with the fish in it, and all that stuff. And that was, by the time I got done, I couldn't even eat. I was like, I'm going to eat this, maybe tomorrow or something. But it ruined that whole experience. And thank God I don't have tattoos, because I would have.
Did you call a burrito a tube?
Yeah.
You mean the tube thing? Is that what you mean by burrito?
Yeah, the big fish, whatever they call it.
That's so funny. No, totally.
I'm not as familiar with the menu.
Okay. Yeah.
The tube. That's so funny.
And it wasn't always like that either. And I don't know if it was like something pivoted or changed in my head at a certain age, or some experience or something just sort of went, I don't like doing this anymore.
Yeah, totally.
Like Chris Cooper in Adaptation, where he's like, fuck fish. I don't even go in the ocean anymore. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Some switch flipped.
No, I get that. It's funny. I got on a swing when I was working with a kid the other day, and I couldn't believe how much vertigo I had, and it made me angry because I used to love to swing, and now I'm like, oh my God, I get nauseous on swings now. Like, that's
oh God, I gotta try that out, because I love swings too, but I don't want to ruin it if I want to preserve
It's a horrible feeling. It's a horrible feeling to get on a swing and you're like, like I'm just dying.
I used to love that feeling in your gut when you're on a swing.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and that like it felt good. Now it's like all here for me, and I get dizzy, and I'm like, I even tried to go upside down, and I was like, oh, that was even worse.
Why would you're like, let's just go for it more?
Yeah, I do that a lot. I really hurt myself at the gym the other day, because I just went too hard. And that's why I'm like scared of lifting, actual free lifting, because I'm like, I feel like I would
We've been
fuck
talking about
myself
lifting,
up.
bro. You know?
I
Okay,
have
cool.
done headstands next to a wall like many times, but I guess I just hadn't done one in maybe like a few months at most. And I thought to do one, but the ground wasn't even, and my neck kind of rolled a little bit while my legs were up in the air, and I fucked my shoulder and neck up just recently. And I was like, I just like laid on the ground.
You're doing a headstand or a handstand?
Headstand.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that really fucking sucked. And now I still have shoulder pain from that.
That's not going away.
I woke up
That's-
with shoulder pain this morning. Just random. Woke me up. My shoulder hurt so much. I didn't do anything.
Yeah, and I
you
just
slept at an angle that your body wasn't used to, and it just happens.
fucked up.
it's so annoying. Like
We're
sometimes
close
I'm like
to the grave.
my lower back will get so angry, and I'm just like, God, it fucking hurts. And then I like have to take my dog for a walk, and he's old, and I'm like, you don't want to do this either, do you? Like,
I'm like, could I even fight Leatherface if I wanted to at this point?
Oh my
That's
God.
probably the more salient point. That's
It's
I
so
wouldn't.
true. Like being old, that's like the scariest.
It's too
part.
hot. It's too hot. Just fucking
Just
kill me.
take me.
Yeah. Oh my God, 100 degrees.
Can you put me in the meat freezer before you kill me, just for like 5?
It's probably kind of nice down there,
Oh
you
my
know,
God.
like.
Right.
Basement's a nice basement in Texas. Probably feels real nice.
Oh my God. It
Talk
can
about
get.
a cold plunge.
It's literally been over 100 for like a week and a half there right now. Like I just can't even imagine. My sister was like, "It can't be this way forever."
No, it will be.
Yeah, and like it's gonna get toastier there.
Just make another AI picture, B.
Yeah.
Get all mad at her.
Yeah, she, and in her respect, I get where she's coming from. You know what I mean? But I'm like, it's not you. It's just the thing that you said is what's
I think
really
this is very
spiraling
funny
for
and
me. Yeah.
interesting, yeah, that you're so against the AI stuff.
Well, it just makes me feel like you're right. If we were comfortable, and it could be a more whimsy thing, it would be great. But the fact that like it is already like taking images from other artists and using that, and I mean that's also what art is. So
Well, and it's already like super racist. Like, you ask AI to create like 500 pictures of doctors, and it's all just white men.
oh
Like,
yeah,
as
or
far
the
as the eye
fast
can see.
food commercial is like,
Yeah.
which is so funny because like in actual fast food commercials, it's like very fat phobic, and it's like only skinny people because no one wants to see fat people. But in the AI's version, it's like, oh well, they're all gonna be fat as fuck. So it's like,
Yeah.
so it's just like lots, like so fat that it's like everybody in it. Like it's overkill where it could just be.
Well, you know, it's learning like we are.
Yeah, I
Learning like we are. Yeah. It's only can do what
you're
it
just
has
gonna
been.
see a bunch of slurs in there at some point.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
there were a lot
And then
more
the
slurs
AI
back
is
in the
gonna be
day
like,
than
early AI versus
you know,
later
we're
AI.
working on
Gen Z AI.
they said invalid in this movie. You know, we're all learning.
Invalid.
We're all learning.
Invalid, invalid. That's something I learned today. Well, Matthew, it was so great to have you on the podcast. Thank you so much for doing
Thank you for having me.
it.
It was great to be had and to chat about one
Yeah.
of my favorite things ever.
Hell yeah, dude. I always enjoy chatting with you about horror films. If you like this horror film, please like, share, and review. We love reviews. We need more reviews and likes and shares. Matthew, where can people find you and like anything you want to plug in general?
Online, I go by the moniker Lycra Bustier. That's usually at Lycra Bustier, and that's Ly like Lycra, like the material, and then Bustier. It's a long story. If you want to know why that name was chosen by me, I can definitely tell you. But it's
How you spell it?
Lycra, and then Bustier.
IER.
IER. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, and see, you're gonna get a lot of pictures of that. This is if you're looking. This is if you're looking on like on Instagram and
It's
those
like,
things.
We just got a bunch of corsets and
Yeah.
titties.
Yeah.
No, that's totally
Might say
fine.
more about my algorithm than
If you could sum it up in like a sentence, where did you get like? Is that possible though?
the
Like,
name.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's actually not that long. I was and when I was in grad school for historic
That's it.
preservation, we were learning a lot about
And the art.
architecture, and there was a French architect named Le Corbusier.
Oh.
That was his moniker that he went by, and for the longest time, there was a student who was hearing that as Lycra Bustier, who was one of our in our cohort, because our professor was sort of this guy from Natchitoches, and he'd talk like this, and he'd say Lycra Bustier, and it sounded like Lycra Bustier, and so he this poor kid had to go up and actually use that term in front of him, and he's like, "Lacrobustier, what are you talking about, son?" So I just sort of used that as my nonsense little thing. Yeah, I'm really racking it up there with followers.
No, but it looks.
My Etsy's dead. I quit that. I have ADHD to the max, so I bounce around from things. And,
but I do I need to get one of your collages. They're really cool.
Actually, I have a couple for you guys.
Oh, well, amazing. I'm so excited. Well, yeah, look him up, follow him. This is the Left Hand Right Brain podcast, so you can find those wherever you find your podcast at. JD also has his podcast and his wife's podcast under this label, and it's amazing. Left Hand Right Brain Pod, and let's get drunk and talk about your wedding. And so we love reviews, likes, and shares. Please stay spooky
with Katie Bowman.
Help Me I'm Scared is a Left Hand, Right Brain production, produced by JD Lopez, with music by Ben Kronberg.